Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Gallant View Rangers podcast. My name's Colin McDuff, and this evening I'm delighted to be joined by a very special guest. It's Martin Wall from the Killie View podcast. Martin, something a wee bit different here. I think you'll be the first ever Kilmarnock fan we've had in the podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, well, a privilege. Thanks for that. Probably going to get dogs abuse from my fans, maybe. We'll see. But no, it's a privilege to be on here and chat all things Kilmarnock. And obviously, both ourselves and you are in a good shape at the minute going into tomorrow's game. So quite an exciting game to come up to tomorrow and talk about.
Don't worry about the dogs abuse. I'm probably going to lose a lot of staunch points, but just the premise behind this new idea, the listeners. Obviously, we've done the Europa League reaction draw with the West Ham, Brighton, and the Liverpool fans on the one podcast. A bit of good feedback, so we thought let's try and take the blue tinted specs off and actually have a grown up conversation about a game without it be one sided. So. You mentioned it there, Martin. Obviously, Rangers flying high. In the title race, were 2 points ahead of Celtic. Kilmarnock fourth. Obviously, Hearts have created a wee bit of a gap in third place, but Kilmarnock 2 points ahead of St Mirren. Just looking at the league table, 8 points ahead of Dundee there. So again, gaps are creating in the league. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we always look at like the games. Me and our co-host Neil, who's not on tonight, but we talk about like points and we look at the games as maybe 3 or 4 at a time and think, right, what can we get from that? And obviously we split it so Celtic away, Aberdeen at home, and then obviously yourselves at home. So for me, we were looking at a marker of 4 points would be a really good return, because as you know, realistically on any other season you're probably looking at maybe possibly 2 defeats and that and sneaking a win against Aberdeen. But I mean, the way we're playing at the minute, that's 1 defeat in 14 in all competitions, 1 in 12. Obviously, the defeat came Ibrox in the new year, where we didn't disgrace ourselves either. So yeah, there's a lot to be optimistic about. We beat you already. Obviously, the win, way back on the first game of the season, it's not really, you can't really compare that because I mean, one, I'm not going to mention his name on here because I'm sure you don't want me to, but we know what the story is at Rangers, and it's a totally different kettle of fish playing Rangers these days. So let's face it, Rangers are the form team at the minute in the league, and I would take tomorrow. If we get a draw tomorrow, I think Kilmarnock fans would be very happy with that.
It'd be good to get your take on both teams for a Kilmarnock point of view, both Rangers and Kilmarnock. Starting with your own side. So who? I think I know the answer here. Who's the danger man? Who's going to be the guys that you can, if they're going to have a good game, they're going to take the game to Rangers?
Yeah, well, obviously, as you said there, Danny Armstrong, it's just obvious one. He's not. It was a bit of a flash in the pan, really. Last season, we thought, what's going on here? Because he couldn't even get in the championship. Didn't start the first couple of games, and then he basically kept us in the league last year. Let's not beat around the bush. But then this season, we thought, can he carry it on? And he has, and he's actually got even better. He's adding more creativity to his game. His end products in the final third is a lot better. But I think the best thing about it is the fact that we're not just relying on Danny Armstrong this season. And I thought last season there was a bit of a period where there was that pressure on him and he dropped form for a couple of months. So yeah, Danny Armstrong's an obvious one. And I think him and Tav are the most creative players in the league, if I'm right in saying, this year as well. So, it'd be an interesting match tomorrow between them. But the other one to probably look out for is Marty Kennedy. He is totally transformed, for the player he was at Aberdeen. And, if Danny Armstrong is a player that you're maybe not going to be on his game, you can guarantee that, someone like Marty Kennedy will be as well. So.
How do you see Kilmarnock attacking Rangers? And the reason that I ask that question is It'd be good to get your point of view on it. I always hear about how James Tavernier can be got at full back, and cards on the table, Martin. I'm a Tav fanboy, so I'm a wee bit biased there. But so I'm looking at Danny Armstrong and Matty Kennedy, like, will their fullbacks be in trouble? Or I'm thinking about a Derek McInnes traditional team at Aberdeen, and he did like the odd long ball here and there. And the Rangers centre halves have been caught out with the basics quite a few times this season. That is quite a worry. How do you see Kilmarnock setting up in that sense?
Um, Usually with Derek, he likes to switch things about, but I mean, this season he's been sticking to his guns a lot more, and the same team that should have really beaten Aberdeen by 5 or 6 at the weekend, started the game away at Celtic the week before. So it would be no surprise if he sticks with that. The only concern is that people like Liam Donnelly, who has really come into a game recently, he's a sort of player that's not going to play pretty football, but he's going to get in the faces of the players and just break up the play. So it'd be interesting to see if he keeps with him. But if he doesn't, then I can see maybe just one change and bring Watson back in. Obviously, that it's more his game where the opposition are going to have more of the ball. And Watson's, going to just basically try and get in the faces and win possession and be that sort of box to box player. So I can see one change, but yeah, I think we like to get it quick, out the back. Sometimes we like to probably play the longer ball more and get it out to our wide men, and that's probably our identity. Really, is being solid at the back. Basically sticking to the game plan this season and getting it out wide. And like you say, if Tavernier is sort of one that likes to burst forwards, it could be somewhere where we try and you know pressure him and put him. Not need to really sort of we need to be on the counter. I think we're at home. We should be confident. We can't let you come onto us. We need to press as well. And I think if you look back to the Celtic game at home, where the first half they totally dominated the ball, first half an hour got the goal, could have been 2 or 3 up. But then see second half when we came out, Kennedy and Armstrong were proper right up there, into the faces of the Celtic. And I think that's what opposition players don't like with us this year is we do the high press really well, and as you've seen recently against Celtic, if you've seen the highlights from that, it's something that we did really well to stay in the game, and obviously got our deserved result at the end, which you lot are very happy about.
I know you're saying we've seen the highlights. I'm pretty sure the majority of the listeners have watched that result all back. Uh, it's an interesting point about that disciplined backline, and again, it's very Derek McInnes. And I think for me, that's a big difference Rangers have between now that we didn't have at the beginning of the season. We didn't quite have the creativity, and we were still reverting back to type where if we weren't sure what way forward, put out to the full backs, cross the ball in. So many teams in the SPFL are well suited to that. They do the basics very, very well. Rangers under Clement, there's a bit more of an urgency in the attack, and we can play through the lines a wee bit more. We like a shot for outside the box as well. So I'm hoping that we. I think Kilmarnock will frustrate Rangers early on tomorrow, but I hope that they keep doing what they're doing. They don't just revert back to cross the ball in and let your centre half deal with it.
Yeah, I think the boy that's got 2 goals for you in the last couple of games. I watched the game against St Johnstone where you won 3-0, and a fantastic goal from
Diomande.
Diamandi, yeah. And then obviously similar position where quick feet, got the shot away early on in the Hearts game. And yeah, I mean he's going to be one. I was thinking about that and thinking, God, he's seemingly getting used to the league already now. And yeah, he's probably going to be one that we need to watch tomorrow because, like you say, we do need to just snuff out any long distance shots because, yeah, you have got enough quality to hurt us in certain areas, and if you've got 1 or 2 players off your game, you've probably got more players that can hurt us more than we have maybe. And we've got good solid players, but I'd say our 2 wingers are the main ones. But I would, Marley Watkins as well up front for us has been a revelation. Someone that I wasn't really sure about when he signed. But for me, he runs the channels well, runs the lines well, won't give you any space or time. Vassell gets his critics in that recently, but he's had a really good game at the weekend, and he'll put himself about as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the thing is now with us is that we've got options on the bench, and you look at our bench when we last played you to what even just after Christmas there to what we've got now, and to have Dave Watson on the bench who really should be starting, but just the way the players are playing at the minute, the team sort of picks itself. And there's no given right for any player to start. So having Watson on the bench, knowing he can come on at any point and mix things up in the middle, you've got Van Veen who, okay, he may not replicate last season's form, but he's not. It's not as if he was doing that 2 or 3 years ago. It was only a few months ago. He's got quality as well to come on and mess up the sort of centre halves and ruffle them up, and he's got that bit of quality as well. And then you've got Greg Stewart, who obviously yourselves will know about. And for me, Greg Stewart he's not got pace. He's never really had pace, but he's really good at linking in the play from midfield to the attack and dropping deep and picking holes. And he's shown signs of that already. I mean, at Celtic Park when he came on, there was such a difference, spraying balls out wide. I mean, that equaliser came from Greg Stewart, really, switching the play. And that was all his vision. So, you've got all that on the bench, and so I'm pretty confident that we've got enough about us to really hurt Rangers and give yourselves a few questions. But realistically, if you play to your maximum, or you play to your potential of what you're playing at the minute, you really should beat us. That's just the facts. That's the way it is. But there's certainly we won't lie down like previously. We will give you a good game. And like I say, I'm quite looking forward to it. And it could go one or two ways really this game. But yeah. My question to you is, do you find this game a lot harder now because of the pitch? Obviously, is a question, but do you feel the fact that we can cause you problems now, or is it just a case of the pitch? I mean that's a
I would like to get your thoughts on the pitch, but I'll answer the second part first. Before I come on to the pitch, my worry about tomorrow is, and this might be a wee bit of scar tissue for me, where over the last few years, Rangers have started games really, really well. They maybe went one goal up, but as soon as it doesn't go to game plan, if they don't get the setting quickly, or if another team goes one up, or equalises, this group of players capitulate. And I know there's a lot of the listeners will argue with me in the comments time and time again, saying no, but it's we've added in a lot of new players, but we've seen even this season Rangers do that, and they've not done that enough yet for it to not be a concern. So I may be throwing a wee bit unfair worry towards Philip Clement because it has improved since he came in, but I think we need to do that for another month or couple of months for me to say, right, okay, this is us now in a habit. We can, when we go through a sticky patch, we can get back into games. And I think Kilmarnock will be, as you said, well drilled, really good shape, but they'll fancy they'll be moving the ball quickly forward until it hit us on the break, and we've had a couple of howlers at the back over the last few months. That's probably where I think if Kilmarnock are going to come back into the game, it's if Rangers don't go 2 goals up fairly quickly. It's not even just going 1 goal up, but we've seen at the weekend, Rangers got the second goal, and then for then on in, they just looked much more comfortable, but they did. The question of the pitch, I'm very much of bad weather, the pitch, if the pitch is too big or too wee, if it's grass, if it's fucking red ash, whatever. Both teams need to play in it. It doesn't bother me the fact that Kilmarnock and Livingston use the option that they have. I think personally, if we had a strong governing body, they would put enough money into the game to make sure every team can have grass without bankrupting them. And so for me, it's the pitch shouldn't be a question. Rangers should just adapt to that. If you're a good enough team, you should be able to adapt to your environments. Again, I might be being a wee bit naive there, but what's your thoughts on it as a Kilmarnock fan?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not a fan of it. Like, and that's, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that it winds people up, but that's just like, that's just the side, But and yeah, people will look at it and say, oh yeah, with our home form, we kind of play on grass, this, that, and the other. But I mean, nah, I mean, this year we've been really good away from home and been unlucky not to win games, and we've drawn a lot more. I think, yeah, we train on it, and I suppose there's that argument of, yeah, we get to train on it, and we get used to the pitch and whatnot. Okay, but um, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see the grass come back. I think it's not next season, the season after, when we get our new training complex and that. So when we start beating you on grass, there's no complaints in my eyes. But but yeah, no, it's
Do you think it's a leveler? But
time will tell.
proper politician's answer there.
But no, I'm not gonna get into that. But what makes the only thing I will say right on it is it's one of them where we've lost against you, we've won against you. So it's the adage, that's you only have, I mean, Rangers have done it, Celtic have done it, other teams have done it. Everyone moans about it. Neil Warnock was moaning about the weekend. I mean, honest to God, Neil Warnock's interview
He's
against
just on
us.
a jolly, isn't he? He's
He's
on an
loving.
absolute holiday.
He couldn't give a toss, like. But I mean, for me, when you beat us, you don't hear the noise about the pitch. Um, you get really bad injuries where people are out for 10 months on a grass pitch, but then if it happens on a plastic pitch, it's in the main news. It's just one of them. I mean, you only have to look at Celtic. They pumped us 9-1 last year in 2 games. This year we've beaten them twice, and Brendan Rodgers is crying about it, about the plastic pitch. But he's got the same group of players pretty much. So it's just what it is, isn't it? And like I say, time will tell when we get the grass pitch back. That's when we can have a chat about that then.
Another talking point I wanted to ask you on. I think we don't always agree in this podcast, but it's quite surprising. Most of us were quite surprised slash disappointed to see Lewis Mail go in the summer. I know I've done a lot of coverage and a lot of work on the B team over the last few years, and I really like to look at Lewis Mail. Looks as if he's went to Kilmarnock, settled in quite well. He looks biggest compliment I could give him was he looked like the player hoped he was going to turn into. How do you find his performances this season?
Ask any Kilmarnock fan, he's phenomenal. I mean, he's between him and Watkins for signing of the season, but I mean, for me, for Mayo, right, he'll have an outstanding game, but then every other game will be a 7 out of 10. He doesn't drop below a 7. I think that's a credit to him. At a young age, he's good on the ball. He can play with the ball. He can link in. He can play out wide. He can play through the centre. He's got pace. His recovery is great. He's got all the attributes to be a really good defender and go even further. And I think he won't last at Kilmarnock. I think a bigger club will snap him up. He's a great signing, and we've already recouped the money that we've paid on him, and he's worth a lot more now. So it was one of those where we had him on loan last year, and he even stood out at times. He struggled at the start because he's obviously not played at that level. He played at Championship on loan at like Dunfermline and Partick, but he grew into the team and became a standout player. And yeah, I mean, when we signed him this year, I mean, he's just gone on leaps and bounds, and he's got proper passion for the club as well. And I'm just buzzing that we've got him. Really, I mean, he's plays week in, week out, committed to the cause, and it's probably going to be one of those where the Rangers will be gutted to have seen him gone. Really, but
I know. I think it might have just been that Leon King was edged ahead of him. Because if you look at the Rangers centre back options, obviously we've got 94-year-old Leon Balogun back this season. We've got Connor Golson, who's yet the other side of 30. And then John Sutton and Ben Davis at the beginning of the season, they were probably bit part. Then Leon King is the fifth choice, with the view of Leon King will grow into one of the main centre halves. So I don't know if Rangers were just looking between King, one or the other, but I thought that was a bit short sighted. I thought I hope Rangers maybe put even some sort of buyback clause in Mail or like a percentage sell on, because again, I don't think there was too much between him and King. I think King's better on the ball, but I think, what always struck me with Lewis Mayo was how well he reads the game for a young defender. And no, so I'm not really surprised that he's really settled in well.
Yeah, no, he's. I mean, it just, he doesn't have a bad game. I can't remember him having a bad game this year. That's a credit to himself. He just does. I know it sounds daft, really, but he just does the simple things, but does it really well. Um, and that's sometimes what you want from your defender. And then if he can do more than that, then great. But his link-up play with Armstrong at times, he'll play out wide, or sometimes he'll switch and play in the centre of the three if we're playing the back three. So he's very flexible as well. And I mean, there's talk. I mean, Derek McInnes is drumming him up for the Scotland squad, and that's his aim. And there's an interview there, and he is keen to push for that. So he has got his targets as well, and that's what McInnes is really good at, and that's what the difference is with the squad this year. Really, is that he's bringing players out from the dead. His man management for Derek McInnes has been superb this year. There's players that have been on the fringes that have come in, and he's got a lot of trust in his players, and yeah, the sort of morale in the team is great, and I think that's the massive factor. And it's probably similar to like early on in the season with yourself, where the discontent and the disconnect from fans and the manager, and not there's no trust. Whereas we didn't really have that last year either. We knew that maybe McInnes could do the job. I don't know what your thoughts were with your old manager, but let's face it, it was he's not exactly he's an undercover agent nowadays, this guy. So honestly, I couldn't believe
You
when I
know
heard
what?
that
It
story.
absolutely breaks my heart, because if one of the first big interviews this podcast got was with Michael Beale when he was Aston Villa manager, and it was a cracking interview. Came across so well. So when he came back as Rangers manager, I'm like, yes, I've interviewed a Rangers manager, and it turns out it's turned out the way it's turned out. So,
No, it's
um,
not. It's not good. But yeah. I mean, just going back to my point now that you had a really bad connection. It was getting really toxic and that. And I read an interview today with Jack Butland and that, and it was a really good interview. And obviously, from an English perspective, I like Butland. I think he's a really good keeper. I think he's the best in the league. I was quite surprised that he came up here. No disrespect, but I thought he was able to stay down in England, and he should be playing for a Premier League club. I'm just surprised that he wasn't. But I mean, why not come and play for you and play in Europe? And look, he's getting recognition now for an England call up. So fair play to him.
I know. I'll be honest, I was surprised when we got him as well. But I'm delighted to see that how he's turned out. So, just on McInnes, and probably touching him as the last point. I'm I'm not surprised how well he's doing it at Kilmarnock, and um, he's a strange one. Obviously, he got offered the Rangers job a few year ago, and I think you can never tell how it turns out. But I think looking at him now, and who we've got, I think it's fair to say Clermont's got a much more stronger experience in terms of what Rangers are needing. Um, But McInnes, I don't think he done that bad a job at Aberdeen, considering he was hounded out. But again, I think Aberdeen are stuck in the 80s and they forget where they are at times. But I think McInnes is a solid manager for like pushing for third place. I think you can see that trajectory. Kilmarnock are on. Do you think he's going to be there as a long term manager?
Yeah, at first I was a bit unsure, but then he was given the 3.5 year deal when we were playing crap, and the board obviously really trusted him like last year. And yeah, he sort of questioned it really and thought it's a bit of a weird one because we could go down there. And um, he was just the thing I like about McInnes is, and obviously I know a few people within the club as well, is speaking to how he is, and what you get with McInnes like on in the media and that, whether people like him or don't like him, but in terms of his personality, he's straight down the middle, honest as you'll get. Like, he's like that as a person as well. There's no fake, there's no second face. That's what you get, and I think you sometimes find like you don't get that with a lot of managers. I've heard about like I mean, I watch all the sort of stuff from other clubs and that, and just going, on yourself and that. And when Clement came in, you see players obviously get a buzz on that, and that's just down to man management. And that's half the battle to be successful. Because if you've got a team that's pulling together in the right direction, the results will follow through. And like yourself, it's happened, and that's what's happened with us. As I was just touching on before, with us, we've got players that we're looking out the door, and all of a sudden they're like a mainstay in the team, and it's all down to giving them confidence. Some need a kick up the backside. Some need a gentle word, and say, look, you can do this. You're good enough. And others just need to realise that there is a team there, and there's good players there in the building. And you know, I mean, last year there was too much hit and miss with that. There was too many rumours flying about. There was uncertainty with players. The team was swapping every week, and whereas this year it's like the team sort of picks itself at times, and that's the difference. Like McInnes deserves a lot of credit for that, and he's definitely in it for the long haul. I think we're lucky to have him. If I'm honest, I mean, Aberdeen must. I mean, there's a lot of Aberdeen fans will be like, "No, he ran his course and that." But what, you're quite happy to be scrapping down in the bottom six? No European competition next year, possible relegation. I'd know where I'd want. They've had three managers since sacking McInnes. It's quite for a big club as well. We're just
Mhm.
grateful that we've got someone like McInnes, because, I don't think we would have got out of the championship, if I'm honest, because he just about scraped it. And I think that's just down to his experience. You don't manage over 700 games for nothing. He knows the league inside out. He knows how to get the best out of his players. Okay, a lot of people will say the signings we've signed, the sort of players that have been around the business in the leagues, but that's because he knows that he can trust them. And I think McInnes is good at what he does.
Yes, and again, bringing it back to tomorrow, I think McInnes has brought a lot of good results against Rangers over the last few years. More, he's had more better results against Rangers than he has against Celtic, for Kilmarnock and Aberdeen. And again, I think he is very aware of how to get points out of different challenges in this league. And I'm afraid it's cost Rangers a couple of times, and he he will set up, knowing how to frustrate Rangers tomorrow. So it kind of brings me on my last point then. So what's your prediction for tomorrow then, Martin?
Yeah, like I said, I'm confident. I'm wary of Rangers' dangers and the form they're on at the minute. And like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if we won 1-0, or it wouldn't surprise me if Rangers came and scored three past us. It's one of them, innit? But I think that we'll get a 1-1 draw. I'm pretty confident that we can cause problems, and yeah, I don't think we'll win, but I think a draw is definitely on the cards tomorrow.
On the live stream on Sunday, I predicted 2-1, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head there, earlier in the pod, when you said if Rangers play their potential, then they should be winning tomorrow. Again, it's a start issue in me just thinking what happens when they get frustrated, and I think they will. So hopefully that's just another hurdle that Clement overcomes and just makes, from a Rangers point of view, the team much more confident going into the run-in. But I think we both agree it'll be a decent game. Tragically, no in telly.
Yeah, I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm all for giving other teams a chance, and I'm probably shouting the advocate for that in the past. But do it on a night when you've not got the Edinburgh Derby and you've got some like Kilmarnock Rangers. That's just, for me. It's just a bit daft. I mean, it's, yeah, that's play it when there's no big games. But that's just a daft decision. But you know what? It is what it is, and yeah, it's I'll be there, so I'll be enjoying it. But what I will say is, I think, obviously I'm confident we'll finish fourth. I think we'll beat Aberdeen and at least get to semi-finals anyway in the cup. But what I will say is, if you beat us tomorrow or get a positive result, and whatever, I personally think that with the games left, I know we've got the split and that, but you haven't got to come back to us, whereas Celtic will have, because they've only played us once away in the league. So I think if you get that positive result tomorrow for yourselves, that'll be one in the bag for you, and it'll be your toughest away game. probably go, for the rest of the season. Apart from probably Celtic, I don't, you've obviously got to play them, but that's always, outside the Celtic game, this will be the toughest game for you, I think. And if you get past that hurdle, you sort of it's a good advantage for you guys.
Definitely, and it would be the most Rangers thing in the world to 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 win tomorrow and get shredded 3-0 off Motherwell on Saturday. Um, but here's what I'm wrong with that. But Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, so it's the KFC View. We always record every Sunday. It's always out. So probably just tune in when we've beaten Celtic. You'll enjoy that.
Yep. And we'll look forward to the post-split fixture then, and I'm sure your views will jump up with plenty of listeners for Glasgow. But no, it's a pleasure speaking to you, mate.
No worries. Much appreciated. Take care.
Yep, and thank you all for listening again. First time we've done a podcast like this. Let us know in the comments what you think. If I've lost staunch points, fuck you, don't listen. I only kid. But thank you. Here's hope we're back on Thursday talking about a Rangers win. Take care.